Let's welcome Philippa.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm going to talk about inspiration. So, inspiration, it's all around us. It's all around us right now, like spores in the air, like germs waiting to infect us. My plan is to try and infect you today, so be ready. I think if you're open to it, you can pick up inspiration everywhere you go. When you're walking around, experiencing things, seeing things, you take it all in. And I like to think of the human body as like a big box, like a box of cereal, muesli, full of all the different ingredients. And those ingredients are like your memories and your experiences and everything that inspires you and everything that you see. And that's probably why when you go for a walk, it shakes up all the stuff and all the good bits rise to the top. The nuts, like when you're looking for the nuts in the muesli. So when you go for a walk, it all, yeah, you know what I mean. And the same thing for, you know, when you lie down at night and you can start thinking about things. That's because all your stuff spreads out and you get a different perspective. That's how it works. It's science for you. But for me, what really helps me is to empty the box, to put things out there and to share ideas, to try new things, to make stuff and share it with people. So that's sort of my technique, and that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to show you lots of my work and empty my box for you. So hopefully you'll get inspired, or we'll see. So I'm going to start by showing you some animated GIFs, some more animated GIFs. These ones, I took requests on social media from all sorts of people to make different animated GIFs and bits of artwork. And this was, usually I'll do this when I've moved into a new office and have a new studio space or something, and it's a way to kind of get used to my new work area. So because I'll try and do as many as I can in one day, I have to work really quickly, and that's, you know, it's a good way to just churn out lots of things, and some of my favorite GIFs I've made from taking requests. This one was someone asked for a car on wheels. The next one, the request was cats and clouds. Most people just ask for like an animal and one thing, so that came up a lot. This was a dolphin wearing a top hat. This one was a monster getting a haircut, so I used my paper trimmer for that one. This one was an ice cream sundae on wheels. On wheels is the thing that a lot of people ask for. And here was a robot eating spaghetti. Obviously, I used uncooked spaghetti for that one. I studied animation at university. I graduated in 2007, and I didn't immediately go into any kind of creative job, but in my spare time, I started making comics. My webcomic, My Cardboard Life, I started that just over 10 years ago, and it ran for 5 years, and I used to make between 3 and 5 comic strips a week, so really quite a lot. And that's kind of where I learned to try lots of different things in order to get ideas. So in this, the two main characters are Cardboard Colin and Paper Pauline, and there was a bunch of other characters as well, all different materials, and their characters kind of come from the innate quality of the different materials. And because it's a webcomic, I wasn't necessarily restricted by the confines of print, so I could make things like any size. I'd have a lot of things where they'd come out of the panels. I did a few animated comics with movement in it. That's the sequel to that one. And here's another animated one. I also started expanding into longer storylines, trying to push like the collage medium to do kind of more like long stories, and here's a science fiction one. And I also expanded into the 3 dimensions. First of all, I started making dioramas of the characters, just different little scenes. And at this point, this was when I was just starting to be able to make a living from selling merchandise and self-published books of these comics. So I would have these on my table at comic conventions to kind of draw attention to my work. And making these in 3D kind of led to a storyline where the characters came out of the comic from the 2D collage into 3D models. And in the story, they come out of the comic and they explore my house and they explore the city of Nottingham where I live. And I also did animation for each chapter of this too. So every week there would be a new animated GIF to start the story over the 8 weeks where I ran the story. So I'm really a fan of collage. And actually animating little paper models turns out to be quite fun and quick because they're not heavy, and like half the time with stop motion, you're just trying to keep the thing upright, or with these you don't have to worry about gravity. Like, I really like paper. So here's some more collage comics. These ones are diary comics for Hourly Comic Day, which is a kind of activity where you make a new comic for every hour that you're awake, just about your life. And collage was actually really helpful for these, for me, because it just means you can immediately get like color and texture and a mood down on the page, and then I would just draw on top of that rather than start with pencil drawings and have all these drawings that kind of look the same. That's Luke Pearson, my boyfriend, in the picture, and me and our daughter. And here's some more examples. I do lots of comics about my life from my diaries. Here is a page of my personal diary comics where, I mean, wouldn't normally share this, but I keep a sketchbook diary of just different things that I do. And these ones are quite old, at a stage where I was drawing it in sort of neat squares in my sketchbook with 1 square per day of what I did. Now I just kind of go over all sketchbooks and just scribble anything wherever I can. But at some point I decided to start turning bits of it into neater finished illustrations. And I just picked bits from my sketches and made them into Soppy, which is my book about my life with Luke, about when we met and moving in together and everything. And everything in Soppy is directly from my real life, from my diary, and I haven't got any fictional bits in there. So I show them to Luke, and he has to agree that like I'm allowed to share them as well. So, and he will tell me if there's something inaccurate, he will tell me, like, and not be happy. So this is compared to the sketch version of it, so it's quite rough. But sometimes I also sketch just directly with the inks, which I quite like doing. So I also have made other comics based on real life stuff. I've made comics about me and my younger sister, but with this one I completely changed to a different style. Here's the cover of the book that came out last year, Sister BFFs. So with this comic, it's kind of the opposite to Soppy, because none of the stuff that happens in that book is actually real, especially any of the bits that make me look bad. It's all sort of based on the characters of me and my sister, but it's exaggerated and stuff. So I went with the pencil drawings and coloured digitally, because with this it's fast-paced and kind of more silly, and I wanted to have something more flexible, more sort of something that would just really exaggerate the silliness. Whereas with Soppy, the red and the black and the white, it's all kind of, it slows it all down and keeps it sort of simple, and I want it to be a bit more restful. So I went back to that Soppy style last year when Google asked me to do the Google Doodle comic for International Women's Day. So I chose to do it about having a baby. And then since doing that one, I made more of the Soppy comics about my experience of pregnancy and having a baby. And that's eventually, like, I've collected those together now and turned it into my next book, like a sequel to Soppy. So this one, it's the same thing. It's all like my memories and experiences directly from my diary. So here's the cover for that. It's called Baby. It's not going to be out till next year, so that's all new material for you. And I'm still keeping my sketches, so this might be another book at some point. Sketches about, like, my life with my toddler. And I have to keep sketching all the time because I'm afraid of forgetting, like, all the small moments, because especially with a child, it just all goes so fast. But without a child as well, you don't remember stuff, all the grievances and the small things and the nice things, like the insignificant things. When you remember them, it's really nice to look back and see, like, oh, we completely forgot about that. And I really recommend, like, you just write down or draw some silly thing that you said or that you remember, and then, when you look back, you'll have forgotten, and it's always pleasant to remember, even if it was something bad. So I've been trying out different styles, like, for potential next book, or, just for fun. I think if I do another one, because it's about a toddler, it's not going to be restful, so I think I won't stick to just red and black. There needs to be more colour. But I really like to experiment with different mediums and try different things and see what kind of mood I can get and what kind of feelings I can evoke with the different art materials. This one is ink, but just painted straight onto the paper with no pencil lines first, so it makes everything a bit more loose, which I really enjoy. That's another one done in the same way. I just always want to keep trying different things. So I'm going to show you just a few of the different materials that I've tried over the years. Painting on canvas, I'd love to do more of that, really, because it's relaxing. I think it's nice for making quiet pictures. Here's some embroidery, which, like, I actually hate doing embroidery. It's really frustrating, but I love the finished effect of just having lots of texture, and I think you can do a lot with it, so I'd like to do more of that. More paper models. One of my favorite ways of making 3D images is with paper models, because it's quick, and if you use double-sided tape, you don't have to wait for anything to dry. You can just get it done, which is my favorite thing. This one is mainly paper, this coral reef, but I started introducing modelling clay and styrofoam and paint to make it more sort of varied and bulky. Modelling clay has been a real favourite for me. I use Sculpey, which you sort of cook in the oven, and then I paint it with acrylic afterwards. Here's one which is a portrait of my daughter. It's really flattering. Here's a more detailed one, which was very annoying to paint, but it was also fun. This one became a centerpiece for a great big board game which I made, and just really got into making that board game, spent weeks on it, and I've played it once, but yeah, what can I say? Here's some animated GIFs I made with making the Sculpey models. I will just make an animated GIF out of anything I can. That's really what always ends up happening. So each one of these is just 4 frames long, and so there'll be 4 models, and you just have to be very careful to make them like consistent. So yeah, model making is been a big thing for me. So recently I started trying to expand that into using ceramics, which is quite different, but I've really been enjoying it. Here's a pot. This one is another portrait of my daughter and Luke, because she likes to read books and everything, so it comes apart into little bits too. Obviously, I had to try making animated GIFs with pottery as well, which takes a lot longer because you have to wait for it to be fired and everything. Here's another attempt at that. And if you're going to try it, I recommend using this technique, which is sgraffito, which is where you carve into the pot rather than glaze because you've got more control. So that's a little tip for you. This is my favorite medium, crochet. Some of my crochet characters who are they're like a cast of characters, and I've done lots of things with them. I've started doing crochet about 12 years ago, and I've really made a lot of these things. I've sold most of these, but I remember each and every one, and they have a place in my heart because I would sit there probably for, 4 or 5 hours, not in one go, to make each one. And it's really the best feeling about making something because you finish it and then you can hold it in your hands, and it's a real thing, like a little baby, beautiful, perfect baby, but no pain or blood. Lots of stitches, though. Here's the most ambitious crochet thing that I've made so far, I think. So that one, it's got all these mini characters in the holes, and you can take them out and move them into different holes, which is cool. This one was a costume, which I made for my daughter for Halloween. She didn't enjoy wearing that, but I enjoyed making her wear it, honestly. This is one that I'm working on at the moment. It's not finished. It's going in an interesting direction, but we'll see. But yeah, these are my main guys, really. And they live in my house all the time now, so I've been making lots of animated GIFs with them. I found that actually crochet is really a surprisingly expressive medium for animation because it's kind of like a net of this of the wool, so you can squash it and stretch it, and it sort of holds in place. This particular character has got wires inside him, but most of them actually don't, and I just use wires sometimes on the outside to sort of prop up bits, the limbs and stuff, and just, maybe use pins to hold bits in place. And at some point I started expanding on these and to try and make an animation with sound and longer things. So I'm going to play one of those now.
I'm not feeling very well. I don't feel very well. Look after me. I'm not feeling very well. Look after me. I'm not feeling very well either.
I'm not feeling very well.
I'm not feeling very well. I'm not feeling very well. I'm not feeling very well. I'm the one who's not feeling very well. Look after me. Look after me.
Thank you. yeah, they're all feeling better now, so don't worry about them. So yeah, that's. I'm going to end my talk with a longer video, which is I sort of took lots of that stuff and mixed it together with other types of animation, all sorts of bits and bobs. And this is something I've been making with Luke Pearson, my boyfriend. I do most of the work, honestly, truly. In this video, he did the title and the end bit, so all the middle bit is me, or his voice is in it too. But yeah, so I think this video is kind of a good reflection of like my work in general, because it's just, try out everything, give it a go, and it inspires you to do more and more. So I hope I've inspired you all and infected you all. And yeah, I'm going to play the video now. Thank you.
Can I sing you a song?
Okay, I'd like that.
I like to eat human meat. I like to eat the bones and the blood.
George.
I even
George.
like to eat the hair
George,
and
stop.
teeth.
George.
What's the
It's
problem?
a horrible song.
It's a lovely song.
It's a horrible song. Where did you learn that?
Oh, I'm hearing it everywhere I go.
Like where?
On the radio, people walking down the street singing it.
That's not, you don't walk down the street. Do you understand what that means?
It's just a lovely, silly song.
It's about eating people.
Well, yes, but not every song means what it says.
Do you think humans might be a bit intimidated by it?
No, they'll like it.
I don't think you should sing this song anymore, George.
I want to.
It's scary, George.
It's not scary.
You're not singing it anymore. You're banned.
But please let me sing it just one last time.
No.
Let me sing it all the way
No.
through just once. Please. Please. Please, 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 please. Please just once. Please just once.
Okay, once.
Hooray. I like to eat human meat. I like to eat the bones and the blood.